The sky above Earth was clear that day. People walked in the streets, talking, laughing, and living normal lives. No one knew that something strange was about to happen, something that would change everything. Then, without warning, the clouds began to twist and turn. A strange humming sound filled the air. People stopped in their tracks and looked up. Bright lights broke through the clouds, and huge shadows moved across the sky. The sound grew louder, like a deep voice, singing in a language no one could understand. Within minutes, giant alien ships appeared above the biggest cities: New York, London, Tokyo, and others. The ships were massive, shaped like silver discs, floating silently at first. They had strange blue lights running along their edges. Panic spread quickly. People screamed. Some ran, others just stood and stared, frozen with fear. Earth's defense systems activated. Fighter jets took to the sky, but they didn't fire. They waited for a signal. Maybe these aliens came in peace. The aliens didn't attack. Instead, they sent a message that played on every screen around the world: TVs, phones, buildings, even watches. A tall greenish figure appeared. His face was thin with dark shining eyes. His name was Commander Threx of the Zorthon Empire. "People of Earth," he said, with a smile that didn't seem friendly, "we greet you. We studied your planet for many years, and now we arrived to learn and to laugh." People were confused. Laugh? What did he mean? Commander Threx continued. "Your technology is simple. Your weapons are weak. Your minds are slow. We expected more. You are like children trying to build a fire with rocks, while we fly between stars." The message ended with loud laughter, not just from Threx, but from dozens of other alien voices. Their laugh echoed across the world. It wasn't friendly. It was cold, mocking, and cruel. They thought humans were a joke. For 3 days, the alien ships hovered above the cities. They scanned buildings, took samples, and spoke to scientists. But every time humans tried to explain their history or technology, the aliens laughed again. "You still burn fuel. You still use metal machines. Your data moves through wires." They laughed at it all, but on the 4th day, something happened in space, far above Earth. One of the alien ships found an old human satellite. It was different from others. Very old, covered in dust and damage, but it was still working. The aliens scanned it. The results confused them. This satellite was sending out a signal, a strong one, but they couldn't understand the code. It wasn't modern Earth technology. It was something older, yet more advanced. They tried to shut it down, but the signal only grew stronger. Commander Threx gave the order: destroy it. But the moment they fired at the satellite, everything changed. A loud humming noise began deep under the Earth's surface. The ground started to shake. Lights flickered across cities. In the Sahara Desert, sand began to move slowly at first, then faster and faster, like something was waking up beneath it. Military satellites picked up strange heat signals under the desert. It looked like a huge machine was powering up something buried deep for thousands of years. No one knew what it was. In a lab in Switzerland, a young scientist named Dr. Myra Khan was studying the satellite signal. She stared at her screen as new symbols appeared in a strange pattern. "It's not alien," she whispered. "This signal, it's human." Her voice trembled. "But it's not from this age. It's from long, long ago." Government agents arrived at her lab just minutes later. They took her to a secret base and showed her something even stranger: a giant, ancient structure hidden deep underground. It had been there for a long time, but no one ever knew what it was for. Now it was glowing. Back in space, the alien fleet watched the Earth with new eyes. Commander Threx was no longer smiling. "What is this?" he asked. "What did we wake up?" Suddenly, a voice came through the satellite. Not in English, not in any alien language. It was pure energy, pure knowledge. The message was clear. "Even without words, they have returned." The voice echoed in every human mind across the planet. Some people fainted, others cried. A few stood still with wide eyes, as if they suddenly remembered something important, something buried deep inside them. Commander Threx turned to his officers. "We need to leave," one said. "This planet is not what we thought." But it was too late. Earth had been sleeping, but now it was waking up, and the visitors who once laughed were no longer laughing. The desert wind moved slowly over the endless sands of the Sahara. It had been quiet for thousands of years. But now, something was changing. Deep beneath the surface, ancient machines were waking up, machines that no one remembered, not even the people of Earth. A powerful vibration pulsed under the sand, spreading outward like a heartbeat. At first, only small animals noticed. Then, the ground began to tremble. A deep humming sound grew louder each hour. In the middle of the desert, where there was nothing but dunes, a strange shape began to rise. It looked like a massive dome made of dark metal, covered in strange lines and symbols that glowed faint blue. Sand fell away from it like the desert itself was afraid of what was coming. At the secret base, Dr. Myra Khan stared at a screen. All around her, soldiers and scientists moved in silence. The satellite was still sending signals, and now those signals were matching the energy from the dome in the desert. "It's a match," Myra said softly. "This structure is talking to the satellite." One general looked at her. "How is that possible?" That satellite is over 30,000 years old. We didn't even have fire back then. Myra shook her head. That's what we thought. But we were wrong. Very wrong. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Zorthan fleet was watching everything. Their scans picked up the dome's energy, but they couldn't understand it. It wasn't radioactive. It wasn't nuclear. It was something else. Something beyond their science. Commander Threx stared at the readings. What are they hiding? He asked. How can such a primitive race build this? His science officer replied, Sir, we think it wasn't built by this version of humanity. It's older. Much older. Threx narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? The DNA signatures around the structure match humans, but they also match something more advanced, like a future version of this species, or a forgotten past. Commander Threx was silent. He didn't like this. Back on Earth, elite teams were sent to the Sahara to secure the dome. Drones flew around it, scanning and recording. The symbols on the surface pulsed slowly, like a machine breathing. Then, without warning, the entrance opened. It wasn't a door. It was like the metal folded in on itself, forming a pathway into the darkness. The team stopped. No one wanted to be the first to go inside. Then Myra stepped forward. I'll go, she said. A small group followed her into the ancient structure. Inside, the walls were smooth and warm. The symbols glowed brighter with every step they took. There was no dust, no rust, no sign of age. It felt alive. After walking for several minutes, they entered a large chamber. In the center was a floating orb of light. It spun slowly in the air, releasing waves of soft sound and strange code. Myra stared at it, eyes wide. This is not just a machine, she whispered. It's a memory bank, a library. She reached out her hand. The moment her fingers touched the air around the orb, images filled her mind. Planets, stars, ships larger than mountains, and humans walking among them. Not just walking, commanding, leading, ruling. Myra gasped and stepped back. What did you see? One of the soldiers asked. We were the first, she said, her voice shaking. We had everything. We ruled the stars. But what happened? He asked. She looked up at the orb. We gave it up on purpose. Outside, the structure of the sand began to swirl again. A second dome started to rise not far from the first, then a third. One by one, forgotten machines awoke all over the planet Tundra, the oceans, deep in the jungles, even in the Arctic. They were connected, and they were ready in space. The alien fleet saw the energy rising across the planet. The readings were too powerful, too advanced. Some of the younger officers panicked. Commander, this planet is changing. It's activating something we can't control. Threx clenched his fists. Then we destroy it before it finishes waking up. He gave the order. Alien drones descended from orbit, targeting the dome in the Sahara. But as they approached, the sky turned dark, not with clouds but with something else. Strange shapes appeared above the desert, massive ancient machines floating in the air. Not alien, human, old human, built in a forgotten age. Their sides were covered in glowing symbols, the same as those on the dome. They moved without engines. They moved like they were thinking. As the alien drones fired, the machines responded. Beams of silent energy cut through the sky, erasing the drones instantly. Not a trace was left. The alien fleet watched in horror. Commander Threx stepped back. From the screen, we made a mistake, he said. His science officer nodded. They're not backward, they're ancient. Back on Earth, Myra stood outside the dome. She looked up at the machines in the sky and whispered. They laughed at us, but they were laughing at their creators. Far beneath the glowing dome in the Sahara, another chamber slowly unlocked. The sound of heavy stone grinding against metal echoed in the deep, as if the earth itself was waking up after a long sleep. Thick fog escaped from the opening, glowing with a faint blue color. The temperature dropped. The walls inside were covered in lines of light that pulsed like veins. Dr. Myra Khan stood near the entrance. She felt something pulling her forward, something old and familiar. The air was heavy with power, like the past was pressing down on the present. She walked inside, followed by a small team of soldiers and scientists. At the center of the chamber stood a tall structure, shaped like a tree made of silver and glass. It stretched toward the ceiling, and its branches reached out like arms. Floating just above it was a strange orb, spinning slowly. Unlike the one before, this one pulsed red, almost like it was alive. The room was silent, until a voice spoke. Identification confirmed. Human generation 0.1.2. Double quotes. Everyone froze. Did it just speak? One soldier asked. Myra took a step closer. It knows who we are, the voice continued. It was deep, calm, and felt more like a thought than a sound. System online. Guardian protocol active. Welcome, Dr. Myra Khan. You carry the genetic memory of the Makers. Myra's heart pounded. Makers? What Makers? What Makers? The silver tree lit up and hundreds of symbols began to float in the air. Images flashed. Giant ships flying through stars. Humans sitting in golden halls. Galaxies under their protection. Then came war, fire, silence, and the choice to forget. The machine was showing her everything. Thousands of years ago, long before the first human cities, Earth had built a civilization so advanced that they could shape time, fold space, and create life. But something had gone wrong. A war, not with aliens but with themselves. A civil war so destructive that the only way to save their knowledge was to hide it, so they created Project Seed, a plan to restart human evolution from the beginning. Erase all memory of the past and bury the old world deep underground until the right time came, and now that time had come. Myra turned to the others. We are not the first humans, we are the fifth. The soldiers stared at her in silence. The fifth age of Earth, she said, and this machine has been waiting for us to return. Above ground, more structures began to rise around the planet. Some under oceans, some in mountains, some even in the middle of cities. People were scared. Videos spread across the internet showing towers of light, floating orbs, and strange writing appearing everywhere. World leaders called for calm, but they had no answers. The alien fleet watched all of it unfold from orbit. Commander Threx stood in front of a large display screen, his face pale. It's impossible, he muttered. This species is young. We checked their history. His officer shook his head. No, their history is a lie. Threx frowned. Explain. We traced the signal from that ancient satellite. It's not just sending information. It's rewriting our databases, our science, our math, our AI. It all matches something inside that signal, something they made first. Threx stared at him in shock. You mean our technology? The officer nodded. It didn't come from us, it came from them, long ago, before we even existed. The room went silent back in the underground chamber. Mira stood in front of the machine. The orb slowly floated down and hovered in front of her face. Command key accepted. Guardian ready to assist. Assist with what? Mira asked. Reconstruction of Earth's core network, activation of archive gates, restoration of Galactic command. She didn't understand all the terms, but she understood one thing very clearly. This machine wasn't here to defend Earth, it was here to bring Earth back. Suddenly, the orb changed color from red to gold. A soft sound filled the air, like a song made of data. All over the planet, the other structures began to hum in sync. For the first time in thousands of years, Earth's ancient systems were talking to each other again. Then the sky changed, not the weather. The stars. A strange ripple passed across space above Earth. A portal formed, slowly spinning like a giant circle of light. From it came ships, not alien ships, but human ships. Their shapes were sleek and dark, their engines silent. They were old, very old, yet perfect in form. Each one bore the mark of the makers. Myra stepped outside the dome and looked up there. Returning, she whispered. The ones who left, the first builders. One of the soldiers beside her asked, Do you think they'll help us? Myra nodded slowly. They're us. Just from long ago. They left, and now they're back, because the machine waited. Inside the Zorthon mothership, alarms rang out. Incoming fleet, an officer shouted. From where? Threx asked. Unknown. Coordinates. They're not on any chart, but, sir, they're human. Threx felt cold. They created us, he whispered, and we mocked them. And now, they were coming home. Far beneath the glowing dome in the Sahara, another chamber slowly unlocked. The sound of heavy stone grinding against metal echoed in the deep, as if the earth itself was waking up after a long sleep. Thick fog escaped from the opening, glowing with a faint blue color. The temperature dropped. The walls inside were covered in lines of light that pulsed like veins. Dr. Myra Khan stood near the entrance. She felt something pulling her forward, something old and familiar. The air was heavy with power, like the past was pressing down on the present. She walked inside, followed by a small team of soldiers and scientists. At the center of the chamber stood a tall structure, shaped like a tree made of silver and glass. It stretched toward the ceiling, and its branches reached out like arms. Floating just above it was a strange orb, spinning slowly. Unlike the one before, this one pulsed red, almost like it was alive. The room was silent, until a voice spoke. Identification confirmed. Human generation 0.1.2. Double quotes. Everyone froze. Did it just speak? One soldier asked. Myra took a step closer. It knows who we are, the voice continued. It was deep, calm, and felt more like a thought than a sound. System online. Guardian protocol active. Welcome, Dr. Myra Khan. You carry the genetic memory of the makers. Myra's heart pounded. Makers? What makers? What makers? The silver tree lit up and hundreds of symbols began to float in the air. Images flashed, giant ships flying through stars, humans sitting in golden halls, galaxies under their protection. Then came war, fire, silence, and the choice to forget. The machine was showing her everything. Thousands of years ago, long before the first human cities, Earth had built a civilization, so advanced that they could shape time, fold space, and create life. But something had gone wrong. A war, not with aliens but with themselves. A civil war so destructive that the only way to save their knowledge was to hide it, so they created Project Seed, a plan to restart human evolution from the beginning. Erase all memory of the past and bury the old world deep underground until the right time came, and now that time had come. Myra turned to the others. We are not the first humans, we are the fifth. The soldiers stared at her in silence. The fifth age of Earth, she said, and this machine has been waiting for us to return. Above ground, more structures began to rise around the planet. Some under oceans, some in mountains, some even in the middle of cities. People were scared. Videos spread across the internet showing towers of light, floating orbs, and strange writing appearing everywhere. World leaders called for calm, but they had no answers. The alien fleet watched all of it unfold from orbit. Commander Threx stood in front of a large display screen, his face pale. "It's impossible," he muttered. "This species is young. We checked their history." His officer shook his head. "No, their history is a lie." Threx frowned. "Explain." "We traced the signal from that ancient satellite. It's not just sending information. It's rewriting our databases, our science, our math, our AI. It all matches something inside that signal. Something they made first." Threx stared at him in shock. "You mean our technology?" The officer nodded. "It didn't come from us. It came from them. Long ago, before we even existed." The room went silent back in the underground chamber. Mira stood in front of the machine. The orb slowly floated down and hovered in front of her face. Command key accepted. Guardian ready to assist. "Assist with what?" Mira asked. "Reconstruction of Earth's core network, activation of archive gates, restoration of Galactic command." She didn't understand all the terms, but she understood one thing very clearly. This machine wasn't here to defend Earth, it was here to bring Earth back. Suddenly, the orb changed color from red to gold. A soft sound filled the air, like a song made of data. All over the planet, the other structures began to hum in sync. For the first time in thousands of years, Earth's ancient systems were talking to each other again. Then the sky changed. Not the weather, the stars. A strange ripple passed across space above Earth. A portal formed, slowly spinning like a giant circle of light. From it came ships, not alien ships, but human ships. Their shapes were sleek and dark, their engines silent. They were old, very old, yet perfect in form. Each one bore the mark of the makers. Myra stepped outside the dome and looked up there. "Returning," she whispered. "The ones who left, the first builders." One of the soldiers beside her asked, "Do you think they'll help us?" Myra nodded slowly. "They're us. Just from long ago. They left, and now they're back, because the machine waited." Inside the Zorthon mothership, alarms rang out. "Incoming fleet," an officer shouted. "From where?" Threx asked. "Unknown. Coordinates. They're not on any chart, but, sir, they're human." Threx felt cold. "They created us," he whispered, "and we mocked them. And now, they were coming home." The sky above Earth was no longer normal. The stars had shifted, and a glowing ring now hung in orbit, a perfect circle made of light and energy. Inside the ring, shapes moved slowly. Giant ships, dark and silent, began to enter Earth's space. They looked like nothing humans had seen before, but they were not alien. They were human. Ancient human. Dr. Myra Khan stood outside the dome in the Sahara staring up. The sky shimmered like water as more of the ships came through the portal. Each one bore the symbol of the makers, the same symbol that glowed inside the ancient machines now waking across Earth. "They're returning," Myra said quietly. "The first builders." The soldiers around her didn't speak. None of them could. They were watching history come back to life. The first ship slowly descended toward the desert. It moved without noise, as if gravity didn't apply to it. It hovered above the dome, and then a beam of soft blue light came down from its center. From that light, a tall figure emerged. He was human, but not like any man alive today. His skin was smooth and pale. His eyes glowed softly and lines of energy moved under his skin. He wore no armor. He needed none. Myra stepped forward. Her voice was calm but full of awe. "Who are you?" Figure looked at her with kind, knowing eyes. "I am the guardian of memory," he said. "I watched over the stars while Earth slept." Mira's heart raced. "Why have you returned now?" The guardian looked toward the sky, where the Zorthon ships floated like insects around the glowing ring. "Because your planet has been touched. The galaxy once again moves toward darkness, and Earth must rise." Behind him, other ships landed, around the world. From them, more of the ancient humans stepped out. Some looked like Mira, some looked completely different. They were not just from Earth, they were from colonies lost to time. They had survived. The guardian walked toward the dome. His hand touched the metal surface and the whole structure lit up brighter than ever before. Inside, machines moved faster, codes shifted. A voice spoke from deep within the Earth. "Core archive now unlocking." The guardian turned to Mira. "Do you know why your people forgot?" he asked. Mira shook her head. "Because forgetting was the only way to survive," he said. "The last age of Earth ended in betrayal. A war not of weapons, but of ideas. One side wanted power, the other wanted peace. Peace won, but only by hiding everything, including themselves." He pointed to the sky. "Those aliens, the Zorthons, they think they invented science. They think they discovered travel, energy, AI, but all of it came from us. From Earth." Mira gasped. "They're using our knowledge." The guardian nodded. "Pieces of it. Left behind, scattered across dead worlds. They built their empire using our old tools. Like children playing with fire. Back aboard the Zorthon mothership, Commander Threx stared at the new ships entering Earth's orbit. The readings were impossible. The ships used no known fuel. Their shields were made of something that bent time. The Guardian-class vessels, once myths, were real. They were sleeping this whole time, he whispered. No, his science officer said. They were waiting. In ancient ruins on distant planets, alarms began to sound, machines buried, for thousands of years suddenly activated. On the moon of Rises, an old Zorthon mining colony collapsed as something woke below its surface, a buried ship, shaped like a sword, with Earth's ancient symbol glowing on its side. Panic spread in the Zorthon Empire. Their leaders demanded answers. They searched their records and found the truth they had hidden. Long ago, many of their first discoveries came not from science, but from ruins they didn't build. They had always known, they just hoped Earth would never remember. On Earth, the Guardian showed Mira a small crystal. Inside it was a star map, glowing softly. This is what remains of the core network, he said. A system of gates, bases, and mines scattered across the galaxy. You were meant to inherit it, but now you must reclaim it. Mira stared at the map. What happens if we don't? The Guardian's face turned serious. Then they will take it and the galaxy will fall into slavery again. One of the soldiers nearby spoke. Why not just fight them now? We have power, we have the ships. The Guardian shook his head. We are not conquerors. We are protectors. Earth never ruled by force, we ruled by light. We must show them who we are, not just what we can do. Myra looked at the machines rising across the Earth, the old code waking, the knowledge returning. She felt it deep in her bones that this was just the beginning. Then let's remind them, she said. The Guardian nodded. We will begin with the core. In orbit, the alien ships began to fall back. Fear had taken over the Zorthon fleet, once proud, now trembled. The sky above Earth glowed with more light than ever before, not from war but from memory. The first builders had returned, and they weren't here to take revenge. They were here to take back what was already theirs. Far in the frozen lands of Antarctica, a storm was building. Snow fell heavily, but the ground below was shaking quietly, steadily, like something deep under the ice was rising. Winds howled across the empty white fields, but under that silence, ancient metal groaned, hidden beneath 6 miles of ice. Something had started to move. Dr. Myra Khan stood inside a black aircraft racing through the sky, her eyes fixed on the screen in front of her. It showed a glowing red spot in the center of Antarctica. It pulsed like a heartbeat. That's it, she whispered. The final piece of Project Seed. The Guardian stood beside her, calm and watchful. This is where the core lies. The last memory of Earth's first age. It has slept longer than anything else. What will it do? Mira asked. It will wake up the planet, the Guardian said. And then, the galaxy. It landed on a metal platform that had pushed itself up from under the ice. It looked like a tower of black glass, covered in frost and glowing symbols. Soldiers stepped out first, scanning the area. Mira and the Guardian followed, slowly moving toward a round opening at the center of the tower. The cold bit into their skin, but the air inside the tunnel was warm. As they walked deeper, Mira felt something inside her pulse, like her blood was reacting to the machine. The same strange feeling she had in the desert dome now returned, stronger than before. It knows me, she whispered. The Guardian nodded. Because you were chosen. You carry the genetic memory of the Makers. Only you can activate the code, Myra. It stopped in front of a glowing panel. It looked simple, just a flat surface with a handprint shape on it. She placed her hand over it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tower roared to life. The floor shook. Walls lit up with blue fire. A deep sound, like a drum from the center of the Earth, echoed through the ice. All across the planet, similar machines answered the call. Lights shot into the sky from the Sahara, the Pacific Ocean, the Himalayas, and dozens of other secret places dotting the sky above. The portal ring glowed brighter. Earth itself had become a beacon in space. The Zorthon ships sounded full alarms. Their sensors picked up waves of power never recorded before. Their systems began to fail. Communications turned to static. Engines froze mid-flight. Inside the Zorthon mothership, Commander Threx watched his screen with disbelief. They're rewriting physics, his science officer said. This isn't just power, this is control over time, energy, and gravity. They're turning Earth into a command center, another whispered. Commander Threx clenched his fists. We have to stop them now. He gave the order. Hundreds of alien drones launched from orbit, diving toward the Antarctic tower. They cut through clouds and ice storms with deadly speed. Their weapons were charged. Their target, Myra Khan. Inside the tower, the walls opened around Myra, revealing a glowing sphere. It floated in the air, spinning slowly. Symbols danced around it, codes from long ago. The Guardian stepped back. This is the awakening code, he said. Once activated, Earth will no longer be a sleeping world. It will remember what it was. Mira touched the sphere. A shock ran through her body, but she didn't pull back. She closed her eyes. The symbols flowed into her mind, unlocking vision cities floating in the sky, time bridges connecting worlds, human fleets ruling in peace. The code accepted her. Just then a loud alarm echoed through the tower. Drones, incoming, a soldier shouted. The Guardian stepped forward, raising his hand. We will protect the core. Outside, the drones reached the tower, but they were met by ancient machines rising from the ice. Tall metallic warriors shaped like giants stood up, glowing with light. They moved with perfect grace, and without speaking they attacked the alien drones. Bright beams of energy filled the air. Explosions lit up the white skies. One drone got through. Diving straight toward the tower, it fired. A beam of fire shot at Mira. Time slowed. The Guardian moved like lightning, stepping in front of her. The blast hit his chest and threw him back against the wall. He fell to the floor, smoke rising from his body. Mira screamed, rushing to him. No, you can't die. He opened his eyes slowly, smiling. This is your time, not mine. Complete the code. Outside, Earth's ancient defense systems awoke fully. Satellites hidden for eons came online. Signals were sent across the stars. The lost colonies of old Earth began to respond. In far-off galaxies, forgotten human outposts stirred to life. Ships that had waited for thousands of years lifted off. Again, the core had awakened. Myra stood in the center of the tower. The light around her grew brighter. The ground stopped shaking. Silence fell. Then a message echoed through every radio, screen, and mind on Earth and beyond. Humanity has returned. In orbit, Zorthon ships began to retreat. Their systems could not fight what was coming. Commander Threx watched his screen go black. He turned to his officers, defeated. We thought they were weak, he said, but we were wrong. This world was only sleeping. The sky over Earth no longer belonged to the present. It belonged to the past, an ancient past that had returned, with strength, memory, and power. The portal ring in orbit burned with golden light. Ships of the first builders floated across the sky like silent gods. Earth was no longer a quiet blue planet. It was glowing. Watching awake. In Antarctica, the awakening code was complete. The tower had stopped shaking. Everything was calm. But it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence before something big. Dr. Myra Khan stood at the center of the core, her body glowing faintly. The energy of the old world flowed through her. The knowledge from a forgotten time lived in her blood now. Outside the tower, the Guardian sat on the snowy ground. His body was damaged from the blast, but he was still alive. Soldiers carefully lifted him into a healing pod. He looked up at Myra and gave a weak smile. You have done what many feared to do, he whispered. You have brought back the truth. Around the world, the machines of the first age were fully online. In the Amazon jungle, trees pulled back to reveal floating pyramids. In the deep oceans, sleeping cities rose toward the surface. Across every continent, long-buried towers lifted into the sky, humming with ancient energy. The people of Earth watched with wide eyes. One could deny it now. Humanity was not primitive. They had simply forgotten. Back in orbit, Zorthon ships continued to fall back. Their commanders argued they were nothing. One screamed. Why didn't we destroy them when we had the chance? Commander Threx stood in silence. He stared at the giant ship, rising from Earth's surface, the first true battlecruiser of the old human empire. It was not attacking, it was just there, watching, waiting. One of his officers spoke quietly. Sir, our AI just received a message from that ship. What message? The officer looked up. A map of our own systems. With notes, corrections. They fixed our science. Threx felt his chest tighten. They improved our technology, while watching us fail to use it. Back on Earth, Myra activated a hologram from the core. It showed the galaxy, every known planet, every system touched by the Zorthon Empire. But there was more. Paths they had never seen. Sectors that were hidden. Lines of connection that went far beyond their maps. These are Earth's forgotten colonies, Myra said. Places where our people once lived. Before the fall, now they are waking to. The Guardian, now resting in a healing chamber, nodded. Each colony holds part of the great archive. Together, they complete the truth. Once restored, Earth will not only rise, it will lead again. Myra's voice was calm but full of fire. Then it's time to speak to the galaxy. A signal was sent. Every communication system, from alien satellites to civilian networks, picked it up. It was Mira's face. This is Earth, she said. We are not what you thought. We are not behind. We are not broken. We are not children. Her eyes narrowed. We are the ones who came before. The ones who built the roads you walk, the ships you fly, the machines you worship. We are the beginning of the story, and we are still here. Around the galaxy, aliens stopped and listened. On distant planets, Zorthon citizens looked at their leaders with confusion and fear. The history they were taught was false. Mira continued. We do not seek war, but we will no longer hide. We will no longer be laughed at, studied, or controlled. Earth remembers, and we will protect what is ours. The broadcast ended. Silence followed. Then chaos. Inside the Zorthon Empire, revolts broke out. Scientists admitted what they had long known, that many of their most powerful discoveries came from ruins they didn't understand. Students marched in streets, demanding truth. Soldiers refused to fight. The lie had broken. Back on Earth, a council of old and new leaders gathered. The first builders offered guidance, but not control. Myra spoke for the planet. "We will not rule with fear," she said. "We will teach, share, defend, but we will never again be called backward." The Guardian smiled. "Now you lead as we once hoped." Across Earth, new ships began to rise. They were not copies. They were creations based on memory, powered by purpose. Humans once again looked to the stars, but this time they looked with pride on. In deep space, near the outer rim, strange signals began to appear. Other ancient threats, ones that had waited for Earth to stay asleep, were now moving, but they were too late. Earth was ready. And for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy remembered the truth. Humanity was never behind. They were always ahead. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Across every star system once controlled by the Zorthan Empire, things were falling apart. Riots broke out on core planets. Scientists stepped forward, admitting the truth. They had found their greatest technologies in ruins they didn't understand, ruins they had hidden for generations. The alien leaders tried to silence them, but it was too late. Earth had spoken, and Earth had awakened in orbit. The sky above Earth was filled with ships built by humans long ago, now returned. Some looked like flying cities. Others were small, fast, and armed with weapons no Zorthon could comprehend. These ships did not attack. They simply watched, quiet and steady. They were protectors, not conquerors. Dr. Myra Khan stood on a viewing deck inside one of Earth's new command vessels. It hovered just above the blue planet, glowing with soft lights from systems once lost to time. She had become more than a scientist. She was now Earth's voice, Earth's bridge to its past, to its future. The Guardian stood beside her, mostly healed now. His expression was calm, but serious. "The galaxy knows who you are," he said. "They know who we are," Mira replied. She looked at the hologram before her. It showed the new star map Earth at the center, with ancient human colonies blinking to life one by one. Messages were coming in from every corner of space. Some were curious, some were afraid, but many were hopeful. Even a few Zorthon fleets had sent messages not of surrender, but of apology. "They mocked us," Myra said softly, "laughed at our machines, called us backward, but they were using our old ideas, pieces of a future we left behind." The Guardian nodded. Their mistake was thinking time only moves forward. They forgot that sometimes the past is more advanced than the present. Suddenly, an alert flashed on the screen, a signal deep space, far beyond. Zorthon territory. An old Earth beacon, one never found before. It was coming from a lost moon outside the galaxy rim, a forgotten outpost. Or something more. "What is it?" Myra asked. The ship's AI answered. "Vault 9, final archive, access level, Genesis." Myra's eyes widened. "Genesis, the original program." The Guardian turned slowly to her. "The last piece. The vault that holds the true memory, the complete record of who we were before the forgetting." Myra gave the order. "Prepare a team. We go now." 3 days later, deep space, near the galactic edge, the black void of deep space stretched endlessly, but in one small corner, a single moon floated quietly. It had no light, no cities, no signals. But as Myra's team approached, the surface began to shift. A giant door opened from the rock itself. The ship landed. Myra stepped out, her boots touching the cold, dark surface of the ancient moon. The entrance led downward into complete silence. No wind, no sound, only a strange pressure in the air, like the place had been holding its breath for a very long time. Inside, they found it a massive stasis vault. Glass chambers lined the walls. Billions of them, each one holding a human being. Sleeping, preserved, waiting. Some looked like Earth's current people. Others had different features: wider eyes, longer limbs, strange markings on their skin. These were not mutants. These were the first builders, the real ones, not just ships or machines, but people. "They're alive," Myra whispered. "They're the ones who made everything," the Guardian said softly. "And when the Great War broke out, they didn't die. They chose to sleep." Myra moved through the hall. She placed her hand on one of the glass panels. The person inside didn't move, but she could feel something, like a dream still happening. A voice echoed through the vault. "Final memory file, now ready." A light formed in the air. One final hologram, spoken by the first voice of Earth's golden age. "We saw the war coming," the voice said, "so we chose peace. We ended our age so that one day someone worthy would rise and find us again. That person is you. You are our legacy." Myra stood quietly, taking it all in. Earth had not just built the future. It had hidden it. Earth had not lost. Earth had planned. As the beacon reached the rest of the galaxy, the truth could no longer be denied. The future the aliens chased had always belonged to Earth, and now it had come home. Back on Earth, the council had changed. Humans and first builders sat together, planning not a war but a rebuilding. The message from Myra's expedition spread fast. The sleeping giants had been found. The past had returned. And now a choice had to be made. Wake them, or let the new Earth lead on its own. Myra stood before the crowd. Our future was their past. she said. But we are ready now. We do not need to be rescued. We are not the lost children of Earth anymore. We are the guardians of what comes next. A quiet vote was taken. The vault would remain sealed for now, but the knowledge would be shared and Earth would rise again. In every system, human ships moved not to conquer but to guide, to protect, to rebuild. As Orthan Empire, once proud, was now listening, not because they were afraid, but because deep down they knew ... They had been living in a world that someone else had built, and that someone was back.